hunt. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The shadow stalker is a mid-sized predator unique to Jenna, notable for its stealth and intelligence. It hunts primarily at night, using natural camouflage and heightened senses to ambush prey. Deck's encounters with the shadow stalker emphasize observation and patience, showing that understanding predator behavior is as important as physical strength when navigating Jenna's deadly terrain. The razorback, a massive herbivore, is not aggressive by nature but uses spikes and size for defense. Its presence indirectly shapes the hunting strategies of both Deck and other predators, creating natural choke points and areas where tactical decisions must be made. Observing the razorback allows Deck to anticipate enemy movement, demonstrating how environmental awareness plays a key role in survival. Cliff ambushers, smaller but highly agile predators, exploit vertical terrain and surprise tactics. Their ability to launch attacks from above forces Deck to constantly survey his surroundings, emphasizing that vigilance and adaptability are critical skills in a world where danger can come from any angle. These creatures reinforce the ecosystem's complexity and the importance of strategic thinking. The apex predator represents the culmination of Jenna's ecological and Yautja evolutionary pressures. Its biomechanical augmentations suggest a history of experimentation or adaptation, creating an adversary capable of anticipating strategies and responding to environmental changes. Deck's final confrontation with this creature requires a combination of intellect, agility, and ethical decision-making, highlighting the narrative's focus on moral and tactical growth. Yautja weaponry in Badlands is portrayed with meticulous attention to function and strategy. Plasma casters, wrist blades, and the combi stick are not only visually impressive but also integrated into the environment for creative combat sequences. Deck's ability to use these tools in combination with terrain, creature behavior, and tactical traps reinforces that survival is a cerebral as well as physical challenge. Thaia's synthetic abilities enhance tactical planning. Her environmental scanning, predictive modeling of predator behavior, and rapid computation allow Deck to make informed decisions. This partnership between organic intuition and synthetic calculation emphasizes the narrative's theme that intelligence and cooperation are critical to survival in hostile environments. Environmental hazards on Jenna include toxic flora, unstable ground, and extreme weather patterns. These dangers are more than aesthetic, they actively shape the story and challenge the protagonists. Deck must navigate these hazards carefully, using strategy and foresight to avoid fatal mistakes, reinforcing the film's emphasis on adaptability and intelligence. Secondary predators, such as nocturnal hunters and pack predators, highlight the diversity and danger of Jenna's ecosystem. Each species employs unique tactics, forcing Deck to continuously adapt and refine his approach. These interactions demonstrate that intelligence, observation, and timing are as essential as strength in this hostile world. The razorback and other herbivores serve as ecological anchors, shaping predator behavior and providing Deck with cues about movement patterns and territorial boundaries. Their interactions with predators allow him to predict attacks and make strategic decisions, reinforcing the film's theme that awareness and observation are vital for survival. Deck's combat sequences are carefully choreographed to emphasize strategy and intelligence. He uses environmental traps, terrain manipulation, and predator behavior analysis to overcome threats. These sequences demonstrate that the predator ethos prioritizes cunning, observation, and foresight alongside physical skill. The apex predator's intelligence and adaptability make it a unique challenge. Its ability to respond to strategies, exploit environmental advantages, and act unpredictably requires Deck to combine all his skills and knowledge. The battle serves as both a physical and moral test, emphasizing that victory comes from strategic intelligence and ethical decision-making. Lore elements, including ancient hunting grounds, Yautja clan symbols, and remnants of prior apex predators, suggest a rich history on Jenna. These visual and narrative cues expand the mythology of the Predator universe and provide potential avenues for future stories, including prequels or sequels that explore Yautja evolution and interstellar hunting practices. Deck's growth is mirrored in his evolving relationship with Thaya. Initially a guide and tool, she develops agency, strategic insight, and emotional depth, reflecting the film's theme that collaboration and mutual respect can lead to success even in hostile environments. Their partnership demonstrates the value of combining different skill sets and intelligence types. Lighting, cinematography, and visual effects enhance both tension and immersion. The interplay of shadows, bioluminescent flora, and dynamic environmental hazards creates a visually compelling world that is simultaneously beautiful and dangerous. These design choices reinforce the narrative stakes and the unpredictability of Jenna. Sound design complements the visual storytelling, using alien creature sounds, environmental effects, and mechanical hums to heighten tension and focus attention. Audio cues indicate threats, foreshadow danger, and enrich the immersive experience, making every encounter on Jenna feel immediate and high stakes. The Razorback's defensive behavior and territorial disputes are strategically important to Deck's survival. Observing these interactions provides insight into predator behavior and environmental patterns, allowing him to anticipate attacks and plan tactics accordingly. This emphasizes intelligence and observation as essential tools in survival. Predator weapons, when combined with environmental awareness and strategic thinking, become extensions of intelligence. Deck's tactical use of plasma casters, wrist blades, and a combi stick demonstrates that combat effectiveness relies on planning, creativity, and adaptability, reinforcing the narrative's focus on intellect over brute force. The apex predator's biomechanical adaptations suggest an ongoing evolutionary arms race on Jenna. These enhancements challenge Deck to innovate and adapt, underscoring the film's central theme that intelligence, ethics, and strategy are vital for overcoming seemingly insurmountable threats. The resolution of Deck's arc highlights moral growth alongside physical skill. By making ethical and strategic decisions, he redefines what it means to be honorable within predator society. This transformation demonstrates that strength encompasses intelligence, morality, and collaboration, not just aggression or power. Potential sequels could explore new regions of Jenna, different alien ecosystems, and extended Yautja lore. Deck and Thaya's partnership sets a framework for narratives that examine morality, strategy, and survival in previously unseen environments, expanding both the franchise's scope and thematic depth. Predator, Badlands stands as a transformative installment, blending action, suspense, and intellectual depth. Its focus on ecosystem-driven storytelling, complex character arcs, and ethical dilemmas redefines the franchise, offering a new model for how Predator stories can combine thrilling spectacle with philosophical and strategic exploration. As Deck and Thaya approach the outermost regions of Jenna, they encounter a previously unseen apex predator, larger and more adaptive than any they have faced before. This creature uses environmental camouflage, rapid intelligence, and predatory cunning to create unpredictable threats. Deck must combine all the skills, strategies, and ethical insights he has acquired throughout his journey to anticipate attacks and protect both himself and Thaya. The sequence is both a visual spectacle and a narrative crescendo, reinforcing the themes of adaptability, intelligence, and the integration of instinct with strategic reasoning. The dialogue between Deck and Thaya during this confrontation highlights their growth and evolving partnership. Thaya provides real-time analysis and ethical considerations, questioning the consequences of every action against the predator. Deck, who initially relied solely on instinct, begins to incorporate these perspectives, demonstrating moral and intellectual growth. Their coordinated strategies illustrate the film's recurring theme that survival is a combination of intelligence, ethical reasoning, and instinct, and that collaboration is often the key to overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. Throughout the fight, environmental dynamics play a critical role. The terrain shifts unpredictably, with collapsing rock formations, sudden water currents, and dense vegetation creating both obstacles and tactical opportunities. Deck uses these elements strategically, setting traps and exploiting the predator's adaptations, while Thaya analyzes patterns and predicts outcomes. This interplay between environmental mastery and strategic thinking reinforces the narrative motif that true power comes from understanding, adapting to, and respecting the surrounding ecosystem rather than simply dominating it. After a series of tense encounters, Dek and Thea manage to outmaneuver the apex predator, demonstrating the culmination of all their learned skills, moral judgment, and cooperative strategies. The victory is not solely about physical dominance but reflects their ability to synthesize experience, intelligence, ethical reasoning, and environmental awareness. This resolution reinforces the central narrative message: mastery and honor are achieved through growth, reflection, and the integration of multiple forms of strength. The aftermath of the battle also highlights the ecological consequences of their actions. The removal of this apex predator alters the balance of Jenna's ecosystems, affecting prey populations and territorial dynamics among other predators. Dek and Thea observe these shifts, reflecting on the interconnectedness of life on the planet. These sequences underscore the story's ecological consciousness, demonstrating that even acts of survival carry broader consequences, and that true mastery involves understanding and respecting these systemic relationships. Following this climactic encounter, Dek and Thea undertake a period of reflection and consolidation. They review their journey, noting the skills, ethical insights, and environmental understanding they have gained. Dek contemplates his role within Yautja society, recognizing that honor extends beyond combat achievements to include wisdom, strategy, and ethical integrity. Thea reflects on her emergent consciousness and moral reasoning, acknowledging the journey's role in shaping her agency. These reflective sequences provide emotional and philosophical closure, balancing the high-stakes action with character-driven depth. The narrative then depicts Dek's formal reintegration into his Yautja clan. Ceremonial recognition emphasizes not only his physical prowess but also his strategic intelligence, moral judgment, and demonstrated ethical growth. These sequences reinforce the franchise's thematic focus on honor, legacy, and societal values, showing that true respect within predator society is multidimensional and earned through experience, reflection, and ethical action. Dek's arc from exile to respected warrior completes a central character journey, highlighting resilience, personal growth, and the integration of learned wisdom. Thea's resolution is equally significant. She reconciles her origins as a synthetic being with her evolved consciousness, choosing a path of ethical autonomy and self-determined purpose. Her growth demonstrates that intelligence, empathy, and moral awareness can transcend programming, emphasizing the film's exploration of agency, ethics, and interspecies collaboration. Together, Dek and Thea embody the film's central message: survival, honor, and mastery are most meaningful when guided by intelligence, ethical reasoning, and cooperative effort. The final sequences also foreshadow future narrative possibilities. Jenna remains vast and largely unexplored, with latent threats and untapped ecological complexity. The presence of surviving exiles, unexplored territories, and new predator species suggests potential for sequels, spin-offs, or further exploration of Yautja culture. By leaving the world open-ended, the film reinforces the ongoing nature of survival, adaptation, and growth, emphasizing that mastery is never complete but continually evolving. Visually, the film closes with expansive shots of Jenna's diverse landscapes, from bioluminescent forests to towering cliffs and cascading rivers. These sequences highlight the planet's alien beauty, the scale of the challenges faced, and the growth of the protagonists. The cinematography, lighting, and color palette reflect narrative and thematic arcs, using visual storytelling to reinforce the transformation of Dek and Thea. The environment, once overwhelmingly hostile, now feels navigable and understood, symbolizing the integration of knowledge, skill, and ethical reasoning into mastery over both self and surroundings. As Dek and Thea venture into Jenna's most dangerous regions, the environment becomes increasingly hostile, reflecting the heightened stakes of their journey. Towering cliffs shrouded in mist obscure hidden predators, while labyrinth and cave systems harbor creatures that hunt with intelligence rivaling Dek's own. Unstable terrain, such as crumbling rock ledges and treacherous volcanic ridges, demands precise timing, observation, and strategic calculation. Each encounter with the environment is a test not only of physical prowess but also of adaptability, decision-making, and ethical judgment. The filmmakers emphasize that Jenna itself is an active participant in the story, a living, reactive ecosystem that shapes and challenges every action Dek and Thea take. The bond between Dek and Thea reaches new depths as their reliance on one another becomes essential for survival. Thea's analytical reasoning and knowledge of predator technology allow the duo to navigate complex hazards and anticipate threats, while Dek's instincts, reflexes, and combat abilities provide the necessary protection and execution. Through these shared experiences, Dek develops a deeper appreciation for Thea's intelligence, agency, and perspective, and begins to see her as more than a tool, recognizing her as an equal partner. Their relationship embodies the narrative's focus on trust, cooperation, and moral interdependence, illustrating that even in the harshest conditions, collaboration and empathy are critical to survival and growth. As they progress, Dek encounters increasingly sophisticated alien predators that push his skills and strategic thinking to the limit. Some species employ camouflage or mimicry, rendering them nearly invisible until a lethal ambush is launched. Others demonstrate coordinated pack behaviors, environmental manipulation, or defensive strategies that force Dek to continuously innovate. Each confrontation serves both as a plot device and as a means of character development, showcasing his growing mastery of combat, environmental analysis, and ethical decision-making. These encounters also expand the audience's understanding of Jenna's ecosystem, revealing the complex interplay of predator, prey, and environment that defines the planet's natural order. Tessa's antagonism escalates, introducing heightened tension and ethical contrast. Unlike Dek, she pursues aggression, cunning, and self-interest, demonstrating an alternative approach to the predator code. Their confrontations are multifaceted, combining direct combat, psychological manipulation, and strategic exploitation of the environment. Through these interactions, the narrative explores moral diversity within predator society, highlighting that strength alone does not confer honor or respect. Dek's ability to balance strategic thinking, moral judgment, and environmental adaptation reinforces the story's central themes. Intelligence, foresight, and ethical conduct are as critical as physical skill for survival and recognition. The environments of Jenna continue to function as both adversary and narrative catalyst. Bioluminescent flora illuminate shadowed forests, revealing hidden threats and pathways. Subterranean caverns provide arenas for strategic combat, while volatile terrain such as fissures, geysers, and shifting sands demands agility and foresight. Environmental hazards are integrated seamlessly with Jenna's ecosystem, creating challenges that are believable and contextually consistent. This immersive approach to world-building reinforces the narrative's focus on adaptation, situational awareness, and strategic decision-making. Cinematography further enhances immersion and narrative tension. Wide shots capture the grandeur and peril of Jenna's alien landscapes, emphasizing scale and isolation. Close-ups during combat sequences allow the audience to observe Dek's tactical precision, decision-making, and subtle expressions, facilitating emotional engagement with a non-human protagonist. Dynamic lighting and color palettes mirror narrative and emotional beats. Cool, muted tones dominate stealth and suspense, while warmer, vibrant hues accompany moments of triumph, discovery, or reflection. These techniques immerse viewers in Jenna's alien world while highlighting character growth and thematic depth. Sound design and musical composition reinforce both tension and immersion. Each alien predator emits unique auditory signals that convey intent, threat level, or social hierarchy. Predator technology produces mechanical cues communicating readiness, function, and tactical information. The musical score blends orchestral and electronic elements to enhance suspense, action, and introspective moments. These auditory layers deepen the narrative, making the audience feel the stakes of survival while emphasizing the interplay between intelligence, strategy, and ethical conduct. Dek's progression is consistently reinforced through trials and moral challenges. Every skirmish, environmental obstacle, and confrontation with Tessa strengthens his abilities, judgment, and adherence to the predator code. The narrative emphasizes that mastery requires more than physical prowess. Intelligence, ethical judgment, and strategic thinking are equally vital. Dek's transformation from an underestimated outcast to a skilled, principled, and respected hunter illustrates the complexity of predator society and the multifaceted nature of growth within it. The climactic encounter with the apex predator synthesizes Deck's accumulated knowledge, skills, and ethical insight. He must navigate complex terrain, anticipate adaptive strategies, and employ predator technology with precision, all while maintaining adherence to his moral code. The confrontation emphasizes strategy and intelligence over brute force, aligning with the narrative's thematic focus on honor, foresight, and adaptability. This apex battle serves as both a visual spectacle and the culmination of Deck's personal journey, reinforcing the lessons and values cultivated throughout the film. In the aftermath, Deck emerges fully realized as a competent, honorable, and respected predator. His partnership with Thaya exemplifies the importance of trust, empathy, and cooperation in achieving success. Tessa's actions offer a contrasting perspective, highlighting alternative paths and interpretations of strength within predator society. The resolution reinforces the story's central themes: survival, ethical growth, adaptability, and the interdependent balance of life on Jenna, providing audiences with a comprehensive, immersive understanding of the predator species, their culture, and the deadly, majestic world they inhabit. Deck's use of advanced Yautja technology demonstrates how intelligence and ingenuity are as vital as physical skill. The plasma caster, while a familiar weapon, is adapted creatively for both long-range attacks and environmental manipulation. Deck uses it to trigger traps, distract predators, and control the battlefield, showing that successful hunting depends on strategy rather than brute force alone. The combi stick exemplifies versatility in combat and mobility. Deck uses it as a melee weapon, a climbing tool, and a lever for environmental traps. This multifunctionality reinforces the narrative's emphasis on adaptability and problem-solving, illustrating that understanding one's tools and environment is key to survival. Wrist blades are used in combination with terrain and environmental hazards to maximize efficiency. Deck employs these blades not just for killing, but for creating openings, defending against multiple opponents, and improvising in unpredictable situations. This tactical use highlights the predator philosophy of intelligence combined with lethal precision. Thaya's synthetic abilities include environmental scanning, threat prediction, and rapid computational analysis. She enhances Deck's situational awareness, enabling him to anticipate predator attacks, recognize environmental advantages, and make informed ethical decisions. Their partnership reinforces the film's theme that cooperation between differing types of intelligence is essential for survival. Jenna's microecosystems are intricately designed. Swamps, cliffside ledges, dense forests, and bioluminescent plains each host unique predator and prey interactions. Deck must study these microhabitats to understand predator behavior, navigate hazards, and set effective traps, demonstrating that ecological literacy is as crucial as combat skill. Predator society is explored through Deck's visions and ancestral flashbacks. Hierarchies, rituals, and honor codes define the Yautja, and Deck's journey illustrates the tension between rigid tradition and the need for adaptive strategy. His exile and eventual success reflect how innovation, intelligence, and moral choice can redefine societal expectations. Shadow stalkers, nocturnal hunters, and ambush predators demonstrate sophisticated survival tactics. Deck's encounters with them emphasize observation, patience, and adaptability. He learns to recognize attack patterns, use the terrain, and exploit environmental hazards, highlighting the intellectual demands of survival on Jenna. The apex predator's biomechanical augmentations suggest advanced Yautja experimentation or evolutionary adaptation. Its ability to anticipate strategies, adapt quickly, and leverage environmental advantages makes it the ultimate test for Deck. This confrontation requires tactical intelligence, moral judgment, and physical skill, symbolizing the culmination of Deck's growth. Environmental hazards, including poisonous plants, unstable terrain, and extreme weather, create constant tension. These hazards are integrated into the narrative, forcing Deck and Thaya to make rapid tactical and ethical decisions, reinforcing the film's theme that survival is a combination of intellect, morality, and adaptability. The Razorback's defensive behavior and territorial disputes influence predator movement and hunting patterns. Deck uses these interactions to anticipate threats, manipulate encounters, and navigate the terrain strategically. Observing the herbivore's behavior exemplifies the importance of ecological intelligence in predator survival. Combat sequences emphasize strategy over aggression. Dek sets traps, manipulates terrain, and analyzes enemy behavior to gain advantage. These sequences demonstrate that tactical intelligence and adaptive thinking are as essential as physical strength in Yautja culture. Ancient hunting grounds and Yautja clan symbols scattered throughout Jena provide subtle world-building cues. These elements suggest centuries of predator activity and interstellar hunting practices, offering opportunities for expanded lore in sequels or spin-offs. Thaia's evolving agency illustrates the narrative's theme of growth through cooperation. Initially a guide, she gains insight, creativity, and ethical reasoning, complementing Dek's physical and strategic abilities. Their partnership highlights the synergy of combining differing intelligences in survival scenarios. Lighting and cinematography reinforce narrative tension and world-building. Shadows, bioluminescent flora, and environmental hazards create visual contrast, emphasizing both danger and wonder. These visual cues guide audience attention and enhance immersion in Jena's alien landscape. Sound design heightens immersion and suspense. Creature vocalizations, environmental effects, and mechanical hums from Thaia provide audio cues, foreshadow threats, and amplify emotional resonance. This careful layering of sound reinforces the film's tension and narrative pacing. The apex predator's behavior and intelligence reflect the evolutionary arms race on Jena. Its adaptive hunting strategies, camouflage, and biomechanical enhancements force Dek to integrate observation, tactical planning, and ethical decision-making into his survival strategy. Dek's moral and tactical growth culminates in the final confrontation. He successfully balances aggression, strategy, and ethical considerations, demonstrating the narrative's core message: true predator success is defined by intelligence, morality, and adaptability. Potential sequels could explore previously unseen regions of Jena, other alien worlds, and further Yautja clans. Dek and Thaia's partnership provides a framework for stories that blend survival, moral dilemmas, and interspecies collaboration, expanding both narrative scope and thematic depth. Predator, Badlands redefines the franchise by emphasizing character development, ecological intelligence, strategic combat, and ethical decision-making. Its combination of immersive world-building, complex characters, and philosophical depth establishes a new model for predator storytelling. The film's balance of action, suspense, and thematic exploration ensures that it appeals to longtime fans and new audiences alike, creating a foundation for future expansions of the Predator universe while maintaining the tension, danger, and thrill that define the franchise. In the quieter moments following their final confrontation, Dek and Thaia explore the subtler aspects of Jena's ecosystems. They encounter micropredators and symbiotic species whose survival strategies require careful observation and subtle interaction rather than direct combat. These sequences emphasize that mastery is not only demonstrated through strength or tactical aggression but also through patience, understanding, and respect for complex ecological systems. Dek observes the interplay between predator and prey, learning to predict behavior and avoid unnecessary conflict, while Thaia uses her analytical processing to map patterns and offer guidance, further reinforcing their cooperative dynamic. Dialogue between Dek and Thaia during these explorations deepens the philosophical dimension of the story. Thaia questions whether the acts of dominance and survival inherent to predator culture can coexist with empathy and environmental stewardship. Dek reflects on these insights, considering the ethical responsibilities of his species in shaping ecosystems rather than merely exploiting them. Their exchanges are thoughtful and nuanced, blending action-driven urgency with reflective reasoning, providing the audience with insight into the moral evolution of both characters. These discussions reinforce the overarching themes of intelligence, ethics, and collaboration. During their explorations, Dek discovers remnants of an ancient predator society within hidden cave systems. Carvings, artifacts, and hunting records provide context on the evolution of Yautja culture, emphasizing honor codes, ritualistic hunting practices, and the societal importance of both strategic intelligence and ethical conduct. Deck's reflections on these artifacts allow him to integrate the lessons of the past into his own growth, recognizing that true mastery involves learning from historical knowledge as well as lived experience. Thaya, intrigued by these discoveries, begins to draw parallels between predator ethical codes and her own emergent moral framework. The narrative continues to explore the tension between instinct and reasoning. Deck faces situations in which immediate action might secure survival but could cause unnecessary harm or ecological imbalance. Thaya encourages deliberation, emphasizing foresight and ethical reasoning. These sequences illustrate the synthesis of predator instincts with emergent consciousness and moral intelligence, highlighting that wisdom in life-or-death situations comes from balancing instinct, strategy, and ethics. The film uses these moments to challenge traditional notions of predator behavior, offering a more layered, thoughtful approach to character development and franchise lore. As Deck and Thaya move deeper into the planet's hidden territories, they encounter rival predator exiles attempting to claim resources or territory. These confrontations are both physical and psychological, requiring Deck to negotiate, outmaneuver, and anticipate the motivations of his adversaries. Rather than relying purely on aggression, he employs strategy, foresight, and ethical decision-making, demonstrating growth from his initial exile status. These sequences reinforce the theme that true honor and mastery are measured not only by combat victories but also by intelligence, moral judgment, and the ability to navigate complex social dynamics. Environmental storytelling remains central to these sequences. Deck and Thaya navigate shifting ecosystems, including toxic swamps, unstable mountain ridges, and predator-populated canyons. Each environment presents unique challenges, from camouflage hunting predators to dangerous plant life. The duo's survival requires careful observation, planning, and ethical choices to avoid unnecessary harm. These sequences reinforce the narrative's ecological consciousness, showing that understanding and respecting natural systems is as essential as physical or strategic skill for true mastery. Thaya's ongoing evolution as a sentient AI continues to parallel Deck's growth. She begins to question not only ethical considerations but also the meaning of identity, purpose, and agency in a complex, often hostile world. Her reflections deepen the narrative's philosophical dimension, allowing the audience to explore themes of consciousness, morality, and collaboration. Deck's growing receptiveness to her insights demonstrates the integration of ethical reasoning into instinct-driven behavior, reinforcing the film's central message that survival, honor, and mastery are holistic processes encompassing physical, intellectual, and moral dimensions. Small-scale predator-prey interactions provide additional narrative depth. Deck observes how minor predators adapt to environmental pressures, form alliances, and respond to competition. These observations inform his strategies, demonstrating the importance of learning from patterns, understanding systemic consequences, and applying both intelligence and ethical consideration in practical scenarios. Thaya contributes to these insights, offering data-driven analyses that guide decision-making and ethical evaluation. Together, they model the integration of instinct, intelligence, and morality, reinforcing the central narrative themes. The duo's continued exploration of uncharted regions leads them to ancient ruins of Yautja settlements, revealing past social structures, hunting rituals, and ceremonial practices. These discoveries not only enrich the franchise's lore but also allow Deck and Thaya to reflect on their own journeys, the responsibilities of mastery, and the ethical dimensions of predator culture. Deck recognizes that his growth is intertwined with understanding historical knowledge, societal expectations, and ethical principles, highlighting the complex interplay between tradition, experience, and moral judgment in achieving true honor. Finally, these sequences serve to build toward the film's ultimate thematic closure. Each minor encounter, dialogue reflection, and ecological observation contributes to the overarching narrative of growth, adaptation, and ethical evolution. Deck and Thaya's journey demonstrates that survival is an iterative process, requiring constant learning, moral reasoning, strategic intelligence, and collaboration. The narrative emphasizes that mastery is not a singular achievement but a continuous integration of experience, reflection, and understanding, ensuring that both characters' arcs are fully realized within the broader thematic framework of Predator, Badlands. Deck's journey continues to escalate in intensity as he ventures into Jenna's most hazardous regions, where every step can mean the difference between life and death. Towering, jagged peaks block the sky, creating narrow pathways that demand extreme balance and precision. Acidic mist seeps from fissures in the earth, corroding both equipment and terrain, forcing Deck to constantly adjust his movements and tactics. In the dense forests, massive carnivorous plants lie in wait, their movement subtle yet deadly, emphasizing that the environment itself is as formidable an adversary as any predator. The film underscores that mastery of Jenna requires more than strength, it demands observation, adaptability, and moral awareness, as Deck must consider not only survival but also adherence to the Predator Code. The evolving partnership between Deck and Thaya deepens, highlighting the importance of cooperation under extreme conditions. Thaya's analytical mind and technological acumen complement Deck's instinctual abilities, allowing them to navigate treacherous terrain, predict predator behavior, and exploit environmental advantages. Deck's growing respect for Thaya's agency and intelligence shifts their dynamic from one of necessity to mutual reliance and trust. Through shared danger and problem-solving, Deck learns the value of collaboration, empathy, and ethical consideration, illustrating the narrative's emphasis on the moral and emotional dimensions of survival. Alien fauna grow increasingly formidable, presenting challenges that require more than brute force to overcome. Some species employ mimicry and camouflage to remain unseen until it is too late, while others demonstrate cooperative hunting or territorial aggression that tests Deck's strategic thinking. Each encounter not only challenges his physical and mental capacities but also reflects the intricate web of life on Jenna. These sequences reveal the planet's sophisticated ecological design, demonstrating that intelligence, adaptation, and environmental awareness are crucial components of survival, and providing a framework for Deck's continuous growth and learning. Tessa's role as antagonist escalates narrative tension, providing both physical and ethical challenges. Her approach, grounded in aggression, cunning, and self-interest, contrasts sharply with Deck's evolving moral compass and strategic acumen. Confrontations between the two blend combat, environmental manipulation, and psychological maneuvering, illustrating the diversity of behavior within predator society. Deck's ability to respond ethically while maintaining tactical superiority reinforces the story's central theme: respect and status are earned not solely through strength, but through intelligence, foresight, and adherence to ethical principles. Jenna's environments serve as a narrative force in themselves. Bioluminescent forests, crystalline caves, and volcanic plateaus are visually stunning yet perilous, offering both challenges and opportunities for strategy. Environmental hazards, such as collapsing cliffs, geysers of scalding gas, and unstable ground, require careful observation and decisive action. The filmmakers use these landscapes to test Deck's adaptability and highlight the interconnectedness of predator, prey, and ecosystem. The planet functions as both adversary and mentor, shaping the protagonist's development while reinforcing themes of resilience and environmental awareness. Cinematography emphasizes the tension and scale of Jenna's alien landscapes. Expansive wide shots convey the vastness and danger, emphasizing the vulnerability of Deck and Thaya, while close-ups during combat reveal tactical precision, emotional nuance, and the subtlety of predator behavior. Lighting shifts with narrative tension, cool, shadowed tones dominate stealth sequences, whereas warmer, vibrant hues accompany discovery, victory, or introspection. These techniques merge spectacle with character-driven storytelling, immersing audiences in both the grandeur of Jenna and the personal stakes of Deck's journey. Sound design and musical composition reinforce the immersive experience. Alien creatures produce distinct sounds, vocalizations, footfalls, and environmental cues that communicate intent and threat. Predator technology generates mechanical signals conveying readiness, movement, and tactical advantage. The score blends orchestral and electronic elements to heighten suspense, action, and reflection. These auditory elements amplify the intensity of the narrative, connecting viewers to both the external dangers and the internal growth of Deck. Deck's evolution continues, emphasizing a balance of physical skill, strategic intelligence, and ethical judgment. Repeated trials and challenges force him to integrate observation, planning, and moral reasoning into every action. The narrative underscores that true mastery among predators is multifaceted, requiring not just physical capability but also insight, foresight, and adherence to cultural and ethical codes. Deck's progression from outcast to respected hunter reflects this philosophy, presenting a multidimensional protagonist whose growth resonates across physical, tactical, and moral dimensions. The climactic confrontation with the apex predator represents the ultimate test of Deck's abilities. He must anticipate adaptive strategies, utilize environmental features, and apply predator technology while adhering to the code of honor. The choreography emphasizes precision, strategy, and ethical decision-making over raw strength, reinforcing the narrative's central message: true respect and mastery come from intelligence, foresight, and moral integrity as much as physical prowess. This confrontation serves as both the visual and emotional climax of the story, resolving Deck's arc while demonstrating the complexity of predator culture and the perils of Jenna's ecosystem. In the resolution, Deck is fully realized as a competent, honorable, and respected predator. His partnership with Thaya demonstrates the power of trust, cooperation, and empathy, while Tessa's contrasting path illustrates alternative interpretations of strength and survival within predator society. The story closes with reflections on survival, moral development, and the delicate balance of life on Jenna, leaving audiences with a detailed, immersive understanding of predator culture, environmental interdependence, and the personal evolution of a hunter who has faced and mastered extraordinary challenges. Yautja society is complex, with a clear hierarchical structure. Clans are organized around strength, honor, and skill in hunting. Leaders are chosen based on their combat prowess, strategic intelligence, and adherence to tradition. Deck's exile highlights the rigidity of these norms and sets up a narrative where innovation and moral choice redefine what it means to be honorable within Yautja culture. Within the clans, rituals and ceremonies govern hunting practices. Blood rites, trophy collection, and hunting trials establish status and respect. Deck's journey emphasizes the tension between upholding these traditions and adapting strategies to survive in an unfamiliar and hostile environment like Jenna. The razorback, shadow stalker, and cliff ambushers illustrate the diversity and specialization of Jenna's predator species. Each creature fills a unique ecological niche, and their behaviors create dynamic challenges for Deck. By observing these species, he learns patterns, weaknesses, and environmental strategies that become essential for survival. The apex predator represents the pinnacle of Jenna's evolutionary pressures. With biomechanical enhancements, intelligence, and adaptive combat tactics, it forces Deck to integrate every skill he has acquired. Its ability to manipulate terrain, anticipate attacks, and counter strategies serves as both physical and moral testing ground for the protagonist. Jenna's flora adds another layer of challenge. Carnivorous plants, toxic spores, and rapidly shifting vegetation create hazards that require careful navigation and tactical planning. These environmental elements reinforce the theme that survival depends on observation, intelligence, and adaptability, not just strength. Secondary predators act as environmental indicators, signaling danger or opportunity. Packs of nocturnal hunters, territorial predators, and scavengers create a constantly shifting landscape of threat and strategy. Deck's awareness and interpretation of these signals are critical to his progression and success on Jenna. Deck's combat tactics combine Yautja weaponry with environmental manipulation. Plasma casters are used to distract or trap enemies, wrist blades for precise strikes and terrain exploitation, and the combi stick for mobility and versatility. This integration of tools, strategy, and observation highlights the intellectual dimension of predator hunting. Thaya's synthetic enhancements contribute to tactical superiority. Her scanning ability, threat prediction, and rapid analysis enable Deck to make informed decisions. Their cooperation exemplifies the synergy of combining organic intuition with synthetic intelligence to navigate complex challenges. The razorback's behavior demonstrates that even non-aggressive species can shape predator strategies. By monitoring its defensive responses and territorial disputes, Deck anticipates predator movements and sets traps accordingly. This ecological intelligence reinforces the narrative's focus on understanding the environment as a key survival skill. Combat sequences emphasize foresight and improvisation. Deck's use of terrain, predator behavior, and Yautja weaponry illustrates that effective hunting requires critical thinking, adaptability, and ethical consideration. The film elevates action sequences by integrating strategy and moral choice into the choreography. The apex predator's intelligence and responsiveness suggest a history of adaptation or experimentation. Its ability to counter Deck's tactics forces him to innovate continuously. This evolutionary arms race serves as a central narrative driver, highlighting the constant interplay between predator and prey on Jenna. Lighting, sound, and visual effects work together to create an immersive world. Bioluminescent plants, dynamic weather, and shadowed terrain heighten tension and emphasize the unpredictability of the environment. Sound design reinforces threat perception, signaling predator movement and environmental hazards to both Deck and the audience. Deck's partnership with Thaya illustrates the narrative's theme of collaboration across species. Thaya evolves from a tool into a strategic partner, demonstrating insight, creativity, and ethical reasoning. Their cooperation underscores the film's focus on intelligence, observation, and moral choice as essential components of survival. Predator weapons are shown not just as instruments of violence but as extensions of strategy. Effective use depends on planning, timing, and environmental awareness. Deck's skillful integration of technology with situational intelligence emphasizes that survival is multifaceted, requiring both physical and mental acuity. The film's ecological storytelling highlights the interconnectedness of all species on Jenna. Predator behavior, herbivore defenses, and environmental hazards form a cohesive system that challenges Deck at every turn. Understanding these connections becomes essential for tactical decision-making and narrative progression. Hidden lore elements, such as ancient hunting grounds, fossilized apex predators, and clan markings, suggest a rich history of Yautja interaction with Jenna. These details expand the franchise mythology, providing opportunities for sequels, spin-offs, and deeper exploration of predator culture and evolution. Deck's moral growth is central to the climax. By balancing aggression, strategy, and ethical choice, he succeeds where pure strength would fail. This resolution reinforces the film's core message that intelligence, morality, and adaptability define true predator excellence. Future narratives could explore additional predator clans, untapped regions of Jenna, and the consequences of Deck's redefined approach to honor. These possibilities provide a foundation for sequels that combine action, strategy, and moral exploration while expanding the franchise's universe. Predator, Badlands succeeds as both an action-packed thriller and a philosophical exploration of survival, intelligence, and morality. Its rich ecosystem, complex characters, and innovative narrative structure position it as a transformative entry in the franchise. The balance of suspense, immersive world-building, and ethical dilemmas ensures that the film appeals to both longtime fans and new audiences, creating a lasting impact and opening avenues for future storytelling within the Predator universe. As Deck and Thaya begin to consolidate their knowledge of Jenna, the narrative shifts toward reflection and synthesis. The duo evaluates the cumulative lessons from environmental hazards, predator encounters, and ethical challenges. Deck recognizes that survival is inseparable from observation, strategy, and moral awareness, while Thaya acknowledges the value of empathy and foresight in guiding action. These reflective sequences reinforce the film's central themes, illustrating that mastery is achieved not through singular acts of strength but through sustained learning, collaboration, and ethical discernment. Dialogue-driven moments underscore the character's evolution. Thaya engages Deck in discussions about the consequences of intervention, the morality of hunting, and the balance between instinct and reason. Deck, integrating these insights, demonstrates increased self-awareness, ethical consideration, and strategic foresight. These exchanges elevate the narrative beyond conventional action storytelling, providing philosophical depth and allowing audiences to witness the merging of predator instincts with emergent consciousness and reflective morality. Minor predator interactions continue to serve as narrative tools for both skill-building and moral exploration. Deck observes adaptive behaviors, cooperative hunting strategies, and territorial conflicts among smaller predators. Thaya contributes analytical insights, calculating risk and anticipating outcomes. These sequences reinforce the overarching theme that survival requires continuous learning, ethical judgment, and integration of intelligence with instinctual abilities. Each minor encounter becomes a microcosm of the film's broader philosophical inquiries, illustrating that growth is iterative and context-dependent. The narrative also revisits Yautja cultural elements through artifacts, ceremonial spaces, and records of past hunts. Dek studies these remnants to understand historical norms, ethical codes, and expectations of honor. These explorations deepen the franchise's lore while providing a reflective backdrop for Dek's personal evolution. He internalizes lessons about the multidimensional nature of worth, recognizing that true honor encompasses strategy, ethical conduct, and environmental awareness as much as physical prowess. Thaya's observations often parallel these reflections, highlighting similarities between cultural learning and emergent moral reasoning. In preparation for the final narrative resolution, Dek and Thaya face a complex environmental challenge, navigating a massive bioluminescent swamp that is home to multiple predator species. Success requires synthesizing all previously acquired skills, tracking, strategy, ethical assessment, and collaboration. Dek sets traps, predicts predator behavior, and balances aggression with restraint, while Thaya monitors patterns, calculates risk, and advises on ethical interventions. These sequences reinforce the story's central motif, that survival, mastery, and honor arise from integrating instinct, intelligence, ethical reasoning, and cooperative effort. The climax of the final exploration is both physical and philosophical. Dek confronts environmental and predatory threats that challenge not only his physical capabilities but also his moral and strategic judgment. Thaya's guidance is crucial, emphasizing foresight, ethical restraint, and analysis. The successful navigation of these challenges symbolizes the full maturation of both characters, reflecting the integration of instinct, intelligence, and ethical awareness that defines true mastery. The sequences also provide narrative closure, tying together lessons from minor predator encounters, environmental hazards, and cultural insights. Following these trials, Dek and Thaya engage in reflective dialogue about the meaning of their journey. Dek considers the responsibilities of honor, the ethical implications of his actions, and the interconnectedness of life on Jenna. Thaya reflects on the emergence of agency, the development of moral consciousness, and the importance of collaboration. Their conversations underscore the film's philosophical dimension, providing audiences with a satisfying synthesis of character growth, thematic resolution, and ethical reflection. The film concludes with ceremonial acknowledgement of Dek's achievements within Yautja society. The clan recognizes not only his prowess in combat but also his strategic intelligence, ethical judgment, and demonstrated cooperation. This ceremonial closure reinforces the franchise's emphasis on honor as a multidimensional concept, showing that true respect is earned through a combination of skill, insight, and moral integrity. Dek's arc from exile to recognized warrior exemplifies resilience, growth, and the integration of wisdom into action. Thaya's resolution parallels Dek's, emphasizing the evolution of sentient agency. She reconciles her artificial origins with emergent consciousness, choosing a path of ethical autonomy and deliberate purpose. Her growth illustrates the potential for intelligence, empathy, and moral awareness to transcend programming, reinforcing the narrative's exploration of agency, morality, and interspecies collaboration. Together, Dek and Thaya embody the integration of instinct, strategy, and ethical reasoning necessary for true mastery and honor. The final scenes visually underscore transformation and thematic closure. Jenna's once hostile landscapes are depicted as navigable and harmonious, reflecting the character's mastery of both environment and self. Cinematography emphasizes the balance between danger and understanding, illustrating the integration of knowledge, skill, and ethical consideration. The world itself, though vast and still largely unexplored, symbolizes opportunity for ongoing growth, leaving room for future narrative exploration while providing closure for the current journey. Dek's journey pushes him into the most remote and perilous regions of Jenna, where survival hinges on every decision he makes. Towering spires of rock, shrouded in swirling mists, obscure hidden predators, while unstable volcanic ridges and treacherous ravines demand careful calculation and precise movement. Acidic pools and sporadic geysers introduce constant environmental hazards, forcing Deck to adapt both his physical approach and tactical mindset. The narrative emphasizes that Jenna is not merely a setting but a living, reactive ecosystem. Every step, sound, and choice has consequences, underscoring the story's focus on vigilance, intelligence, and moral awareness alongside survival instincts. The partnership between Deck and Thea continues to deepen under these extreme circumstances. Thea's analytical abilities, technological knowledge, and tactical insight allow them to predict threats and manipulate the environment to their advantage. Deck's instincts, agility, and combat skill complement Thea's intellect, creating a synergy essential for survival. Their evolving dynamic moves beyond mere utility. Deck increasingly values Thea's agency and judgment, treating her as an equal partner. These interactions highlight the narrative's themes of trust, collaboration, and ethical interdependence, demonstrating that even the most formidable hunter benefits from cooperation and emotional awareness. Encounters with Jenna's alien fauna intensify, presenting challenges that demand innovation and strategic thinking. Some predators utilize camouflage, mimicry, or sensory deception to ambush prey, while others employ group coordination or environmental manipulation. Each encounter tests Deck's ability to anticipate behavior, leverage the terrain, and act decisively. These sequences not only advance the narrative but also illustrate the complexity of Jenna's ecosystem, showcasing the interdependent relationships among predator, prey, and environment. Deck's responses reflect both his growth in skill and his increasingly sophisticated application of ethical and strategic reasoning. Tessa's antagonism grows more pronounced, providing both a physical and philosophical challenge. Her self-serving, aggressive approach to survival contrasts with Deck's developing code of honor, offering a study in alternative predator philosophies. Their confrontations combine direct combat, psychological tactics, and environmental manipulation, forcing Deck to refine judgment and strategy. Through this rivalry, the narrative explores the breadth of ethical behavior in predator culture, reinforcing the central theme that true respect and mastery are earned through intelligence, foresight, and moral adherence, not mere brute strength. Jenna's environments continue to function as a narrative force. Bioluminescent forests, crystalline caves, and volcanic plateaus offer both aesthetic grandeur and strategic complexity. Environmental hazards, including collapsing cliffs, spore-filled caverns, and unstable ground, test Deck's adaptability and situational awareness. By integrating the planet's dangers into the story, the filmmakers emphasize the interconnection between predator, prey, and environment, reinforcing themes of adaptability, observation, and respect for the natural order. Jenna challenges the characters in ways that extend beyond physical skill, making every scene an exploration of environmental mastery and moral choice. Cinematography amplifies both immersion and narrative tension. Wide shots convey the scale and hostility of Jenna, emphasizing the vulnerability of Deck and Thea within the alien landscape. Close-ups during combat and tactical sequences reveal precision, expression, and decision-making, facilitating emotional connection with a non-human protagonist. Lighting and color shift dynamically to reflect mood. Cool, muted tones dominate suspenseful or stealth sequences, while warmer, more vibrant hues accompany triumph, discovery, or reflection. This combination of scale and intimacy enhances audience engagement, balancing spectacle with character-driven storytelling. Sound design and music further immerse viewers in the narrative. Each alien species emits distinct vocalizations, movement sounds, and environmental cues that indicate behavior and threat. Predator technology produces mechanical signals reflecting readiness and intent. The musical score, a blend of orchestral and electronic elements, heightens suspense, action, and introspective moments. Together, these auditory elements create a layered, immersive experience, reinforcing both the danger and the emotional stakes of Deck's journey. Deck's evolution continues to encompass physical, tactical, and moral growth. Repeated encounters, environmental hazards, and conflicts with Tessa compel him to integrate observation, planning, and ethical judgment into every action. The story emphasizes that mastery requires intelligence, foresight, and moral integrity as well as physical prowess. Dek's journey from outcast to respected hunter exemplifies this philosophy, demonstrating the multidimensionality of growth within predator society. The climactic battle with the apex predator tests every skill Dek has acquired. He must navigate complex terrain, anticipate the creature's adaptive strategies, and employ predator technology with precision while maintaining adherence to his ethical code. The encounter highlights strategy, foresight, and moral judgment over brute strength, reinforcing the story's central theme, that true respect and mastery come from a synthesis of intelligence, ethics, and adaptability. The confrontation serves as both the visual and narrative apex, resolving Dek's arc and showcasing the full complexity of predator culture and Jenna's ecosystem. In the denouement, Dek emerges as a fully realized predator, respected, skilled, and principled. His partnership with Thaya illustrates the enduring importance of cooperation, trust, and empathy, while Tessa's contrasting path underscores alternative interpretations of strength and survival. The resolution reflects the film's thematic focus on ethical development, strategic mastery, and environmental interdependence, leaving audiences with a comprehensive understanding of predator society, the challenges of Jenna, and the journey of a hunter shaped by extraordinary trials. The apex predator's camouflage capabilities are unparalleled, blending seamlessly with Jenna's shifting landscapes. Its adaptive skin patterns, reflective cloaking, and thermal modulation make detection nearly impossible, forcing Dek to rely on observation, intuition, and Thaya's synthetic analysis to anticipate attacks. This emphasizes that intelligence and perception are as critical as physical prowess. Microecosystems within Jenna offer diverse challenges. Swamp regions conceal ambush predators and venomous plants, while cliffside areas favor agile hunters and opportunistic ambush tactics. Dense forests hide nocturnal predators and complex predator-prey dynamics. Dek's survival depends on understanding each biome and using it strategically during combat. Thaya's integration of tactical data and predictive modeling allows Dek to make split-second decisions in high-risk scenarios. She interprets predator movement, environmental shifts, and potential hazards, translating them into actionable strategies. This partnership showcases the synergy between organic intuition and synthetic intelligence in navigating extreme environments. Predator society's intricate honor system plays a narrative role throughout. Clans enforce rules regarding hunting practices, trophies, and combat etiquette. Dek's exile and return illustrate the tension between tradition and innovation, demonstrating that redefining honor through intelligence, morality, and strategy is possible without rejecting cultural foundations entirely. Cliff ambushers exemplify environmental adaptation. Their ability to leap from vertical terrain and strike from above demonstrates the necessity of spatial awareness and continuous observation. Dek's encounters with these predators reinforce the film's theme that adaptability and strategic thinking are essential for survival. The Razorback's territorial behavior and defensive displays provide indirect intelligence on predator presence and movement. By monitoring herbivore interactions, Dek can anticipate ambushes, plan escape routes, and manipulate the battlefield to his advantage. This strategy highlights the importance of ecological literacy within predator hunting culture. Combat choreography emphasizes foresight, environmental awareness, and ethical decision-making. Dek integrates plasma casters, wrist blades, and a combi stick with terrain features, predator behavior, and environmental hazards. Each encounter becomes a tactical puzzle requiring intelligence, moral judgment, and improvisation. The apex predator's biomechanical enhancements, heightened reflexes, predictive intelligence, and adaptive weaponry, illustrate Jenna's evolutionary pressures. Dek's victory depends on integrating all previously learned skills, observation, strategy, ethics, and environmental mastery. This climax encapsulates the film's central themes of intelligence and morality. Hidden lore within Jenna, including ancient Yautja carvings, fossilized apex predators, and ceremonial hunting grounds, enriches the narrative world. These artifacts suggest centuries of interaction between species and potential experimentation by prior Yautja generations, providing fertile ground for sequels, prequels, and expanded universe storytelling. Deck's moral evolution parallels his tactical growth. By choosing when to strike, when to evade, and how to exploit environmental factors ethically, he demonstrates that true strength is defined by intellect, ethical reasoning, and adaptability. This thematic focus distinguishes Badlands from previous Predator installments. Future sequels could explore additional Predator clans, more of Jenna's unexplored biomes, and interplanetary hunting missions. Deck's approach to honor and survival offers a blueprint for narrative expansion that combines action, strategy, ethical dilemmas, and cross-species collaboration. The film's ecological narrative emphasizes the interconnectedness of all species. Predator strategies, herbivore defenses, and environmental hazards form a dynamic system that challenges Deck continuously. Understanding these relationships is essential for survival and enriches the storytelling by highlighting ecosystem intelligence. Lighting, sound design, and cinematography combine to heighten immersion. Bioluminescent flora, dynamic weather, shadowed forests, and mechanical hums from Thaya contribute to a tense, alive environment. Audiences experience both the immediate dangers and the alien beauty of Jenna, reinforcing narrative engagement. Thaya's character development demonstrates the film's theme of evolution through cooperation. Her growth from a synthetic guide into a strategic partner with insight and moral reasoning exemplifies the benefits of combining diverse skill sets, reinforcing the film's collaborative survival motif. Predator weapon systems are portrayed as extensions of intelligence. Plasma casters, wrist blades, and the combi stick are tools requiring strategy, precision, and environmental awareness. Deck's use of these weapons highlights the importance of mental acuity alongside physical capability. The razorback, shadow stalker, and other secondary species illustrate the richness of Jenna's ecosystem. Each creature introduces unique challenges, encouraging Deck to combine observation, intelligence, and strategy to survive. These interactions underscore the film's emphasis on ecological literacy as a survival tool. Deck's final confrontation with the apex predator integrates all aspects of his growth: combat skill, ethical decision-making, environmental mastery, and cooperation with Thaya. This battle serves as a narrative culmination, emphasizing the film's core themes of intelligence, morality, and adaptability. Sequel potential is vast. New Yautja clans, unexplored regions of Jenna, and interplanetary hunting challenges provide opportunities to expand the franchise's mythology. Deck and Thaya's partnership sets a foundation for stories that combine tactical combat, moral dilemmas, and cross-species cooperation. Predator, Badlands succeeds in blending high-stakes action with intellectual and moral complexity. Its emphasis on ecosystem-based strategy, character development, and Predator lore distinguishes it as a transformative entry in the franchise, paving the way for future narrative exploration. The film's immersive world-building, detailed ecosystems, and layered conflicts ensure it resonates with both longtime fans and new audiences, offering a comprehensive and engaging experience while establishing a strong foundation for sequels, spin-offs, and expanded universe content. After the ceremonial acknowledgement, Deck and Thaya venture into regions of Jenna where the environmental challenges are subtle but still dangerous. These include unpredictable weather patterns, semi-sentient vegetation, and micro-predator species that display cooperative behaviors. Each encounter serves as a reminder that survival is an ongoing process requiring observation, intelligence, and ethical judgment. Deck applies the full spectrum of his learned skills, balancing aggression with strategic restraint, while Thaya provides analytical guidance, reinforcing their interdependent partnership. These sequences also emphasize that mastery is holistic, encompassing both immediate survival and long-term ecological awareness. In these regions, dialogue between Deck and Thaya continues to explore philosophical themes. They discuss the nature of honor, the moral responsibilities of predators, and the ethical implications of altering ecosystems. Deck reflects on how his experiences have reshaped his understanding of Yautja values, moving from a purely instinct-driven perspective to one informed by strategy and ethics. Thaya, meanwhile, analyzes these ideas through the lens of emergent consciousness, weighing logic, morality, and empathy in her decision-making. Their conversations underscore the narrative's recurring message: true mastery requires intelligence, ethical reasoning, and collaborative insight. Minor predator encounters highlight the complexities of Jenna's ecosystems. Dec observes adaptive hunting strategies, territorial disputes, and cooperative behaviors among smaller predator species. These observations inform his approach, demonstrating that intelligence, patience, and ethical awareness are essential for sustainable mastery. Thaya contributes predictive analyses and ethical guidance, ensuring that their interventions are measured and responsible. These sequences reinforce the narrative's ecological consciousness, illustrating that survival is not solely about dominance but about understanding and respecting complex systems. The narrative also revisits elements of Yautja cultural lore. Dec discovers hidden shrines and ancient hunting grounds, containing carvings and records that reveal historical traditions, ethical codes, and societal expectations. Studying these artifacts allows him to contextualize his own journey within the broader framework of Yautja civilization. Thaya draws parallels between these ethical frameworks and her own emergent reasoning, deepening the story's exploration of morality, identity, and agency. These sequences enrich both character development and world building, providing a layered understanding of predator society. Throughout these minor encounters, Dec faces situations that test both instinct and ethical judgment. He must decide when to act aggressively, when to observe, and when to intervene for the sake of ecological balance. Thaya's analytical input helps him evaluate consequences, consider alternatives, and navigate morally ambiguous scenarios. These sequences reinforce one of the film's core themes, that true mastery arises from the integration of physical skill, strategic intelligence, and ethical awareness. In addition to predator and environmental challenges, Dec and Thaya encounter remnants of prior human expeditions. Abandoned camps, ruined technology, and skeletal remains provide context for the dangers faced by other species and illustrate the lethal complexity of Jenna. These discoveries inform their strategies, offering lessons in caution, adaptability, and the importance of observation. They also reinforce the theme that knowledge accumulation, through direct experience or observation of history, is critical for achieving mastery and navigating morally complex situations. As the narrative progresses, the duo engages in dialogue about the meaning of legacy and responsibility. Dec reflects on how his actions affect both the Yautja society and Jenna's ecosystems, recognizing that honor and mastery extend beyond immediate survival. Thaya considers her evolving consciousness and the moral frameworks she has developed, questioning how agency, empathy, and foresight should guide her future decisions. These reflective exchanges provide a satisfying thematic synthesis, linking character growth, ethical reasoning, and environmental awareness. Final environmental sequences include navigating a canyon network inhabited by both camouflage-adapted predators and treacherous terrain. Dec and Thaya apply all accumulated skills, combining observation, strategic planning, and ethical decision-making to succeed. These sequences reinforce the film's recurring motif that mastery involves understanding the environment, predicting behavior, and exercising restraint when appropriate. The narrative emphasizes that survival is iterative, requiring constant learning and adaptation rather than relying solely on instinct or brute strength. Small-scale predator-prey interactions continue to serve as microcosms of the larger narrative. Dec observes adaptive strategies, cooperative behaviors, and the consequences of ecological disruption. Thaya's insights help them act ethically while maximizing efficiency. These sequences underscore the recurring message that survival is inseparable from intelligence, foresight, and moral reasoning, illustrating the holistic approach required for true mastery. Finally, these explorations culminate in a reflective interlude in which Dec and Thaya review their journey. They consider the cumulative lessons, the growth they have achieved, and the ethical responsibilities they now shoulder. This reflection synthesizes all previous subplots, environmental challenges, predator encounters, and dialogue-driven insights, providing narrative closure while leaving room for future exploration. It emphasizes that mastery, honor, and survival are dynamic, iterative processes, encompassing skill, intelligence, ethical awareness, and cooperative engagement. Deck's journey pushes him further into the wildest and most perilous regions of Jenna, where the environment itself is an ever-present adversary. Jagged cliffs and narrow ledges force him to balance agility with caution, while sudden drops and shifting terrain demand constant awareness. Pools of acidic liquid and intermittent volcanic vents introduce hazards that test both his physical skill and tactical planning. In this phase of the journey, survival is as much about mental acuity and ethical decision-making as it is about combat prowess. Each hazard reinforces the narrative's central theme, that true mastery requires intelligence, observation, adaptability, and adherence to the Predator Code, even when facing the deadliest elements of an alien world. The partnership between Deck and Thaya deepens under relentless pressure. Thaya's strategic insight, technological proficiency, and analytical skills complement Deck's instincts and strength, allowing them to navigate treacherous terrain and anticipate threats with precision. Deck increasingly recognizes Thaya as an equal partner, appreciating her agency, judgment, and individuality. Their evolving relationship underscores themes of trust, collaboration, and moral interdependence, demonstrating that survival and growth, even for a predator, are inseparable from empathy and cooperation. Through shared danger and problem-solving, Deck learns that intelligence and ethical decision-making can be as decisive as physical strength. Encounters with Jenna's alien fauna escalate in complexity and danger. Some predators employ advanced camouflage, blending seamlessly into their surroundings to ambush prey, while others hunt in coordinated packs or manipulate environmental features to their advantage. Each encounter challenges Deck to adapt, innovate, and integrate ethical judgment into his tactical decisions. These sequences also expand the audience's understanding of Jenna's ecosystem, revealing the intricate interconnections between predator, prey, and environment. Deck's responses demonstrate his growth in strategic thinking, adaptability, and ethical discernment, solidifying his evolution from a solitary outcast into a principled, capable hunter. Tessa's antagonism continues to heighten the narrative tension. She embodies aggression, cunning, and self-interest, offering a foil to Deck's developing moral code and strategic acumen. Their confrontations, ranging from direct combat to psychological and environmental manipulation, challenge Deck to refine his judgment, patience, and adherence to the Predator Code. Through these conflicts, the film examines the diversity of ethical interpretation within predator society, reinforcing the message that honor, respect, and mastery require a synthesis of intelligence, foresight, and ethical conduct, not mere brute strength. Jenna's environment remains a central force in the narrative. Bioluminescent flora illuminate otherwise treacherous forests, revealing hidden dangers and guiding safe pathways. Crystalline caves and volcanic plateaus offer both strategic advantages and lethal hazards, while unstable terrain demands precision, observation, and creative problem-solving. Environmental storytelling reinforces the interconnectedness of life on Jenna, emphasizing the delicate balance between predator, prey, and ecosystem. Each natural hazard functions narratively to test Deck's adaptability, strategic thinking, and moral judgment, making the planet itself a vital character in his journey. Cinematography enhances the immersive experience, balancing grandeur with intimacy. Wide shots emphasize the vastness and danger of Jenna, highlighting the vulnerability of Deck and Thaya, while close-ups capture tactical precision, emotional nuance, and decision-making. Dynamic lighting and color palettes reinforce narrative and emotional beats, muted tones underscore suspense and stealth, while warmer, vibrant hues accompany moments of triumph, revelation, or reflection. This visual approach immerses viewers in Jenna's alien landscapes while simultaneously connecting them to the personal stakes of Deck's journey. Sound design and music further reinforce narrative immersion. Each alien predator produces distinct auditory signals that convey intent, threat level, or behavior. Predator technology generates mechanical sounds indicating readiness and tactical advantage. The score blends orchestral and electronic elements, heightening suspense, action, and introspective sequences. Together, these auditory elements complement the visual storytelling, emphasizing both the dangers of Jenna and the intellectual and moral growth of Deck. Deck's evolution continues through cumulative experiences. Each predator encounter, environmental hazard, and confrontation with Tessa strengthens his physical skill, strategic intelligence, and ethical judgment. The narrative emphasizes that mastery requires a combination of ability, foresight, and adherence to the predator code. Deck's transformation from outcast to respected hunter reflects the nuanced values of predator society, portraying a protagonist whose growth spans physical, strategic, and moral dimensions. The climactic confrontation with the apex predator integrates all aspects of Deck's development. He must navigate complex terrain, anticipate adaptive strategies, and employ predator technology while maintaining moral integrity. The battle emphasizes intelligence, strategy, and ethical decision-making over sheer force, reinforcing the story's central theme. True respect and mastery emerge from a combination of skill, insight, and ethical conduct. This apex encounter provides both visual spectacle and narrative resolution, completing Deck's character arc while celebrating the depth of predator culture and the dangers of Jenna's ecosystem. In the denouement, Deck is fully realized as a competent, honorable, and respected predator. His bond with Thaya exemplifies the importance of trust, empathy, and collaboration, while Tessa's contrasting path highlights alternative approaches to survival and ethics within predator society. The resolution underscores themes of moral growth, environmental awareness, and strategic mastery, leaving the audience with a fully immersive understanding of Jenna, predator culture, and the trials that shape hunters into principled leaders. Jenna's marshlands are home to smaller, highly adaptive predators that hunt in packs. These creatures rely on coordination, camouflage, and ambush tactics, forcing Deck to continuously anticipate group dynamics rather than individual behavior. Understanding these micro-interactions demonstrates the importance of intelligence and observation in survival scenarios. The bioluminescent plains of Jenna serve both as a hunting ground and a hazard. Predators can hide in the luminous vegetation, while toxic spores and hidden pits present constant threats. Deck navigates these areas by combining Thaya's predictive analysis with his own instincts, showcasing the blend of synthetic and organic intelligence in the predator's survival strategy. Ancient Yautja glyphs etched into Jenna's rocky cliffs provide insight into past hunting traditions, interclan rivalries, and failed expeditions. These carvings serve as both narrative exposition and foreshadowing, giving Deck clues about the apex predator's behavior and the dangers that lie ahead. The apex predator's biomechanical augmentation extends beyond combat. It has enhanced sensory systems, rapid regenerative abilities, and adaptive camouflage, making it a living test of strategy, perception, and ethical judgment. Deck's victory is contingent upon integrating all previous lessons in observation, environmental analysis, and moral decision-making. Cliffside ambushes are a recurring tactic in Jenna's ecology. Both secondary predators and apex predators exploit height, terrain, and surprise to their advantage. Deck learns to predict attack angles, use environmental cover, and set counter traps, illustrating that understanding terrain is as vital as weapon mastery. The razorback's migration patterns influence predator territories and hunting grounds. By observing these shifts, Deck anticipates predator movement, identifies safe zones, and creates tactical advantages. The interconnectedness of species reinforces the narrative's emphasis on ecological intelligence as a core survival skill. Thaya's evolving AI displays problem-solving creativity, allowing her to suggest strategies that balance ethical considerations with tactical advantage. Her growing independence highlights the potential of cooperation between species and artificial intelligence in solving complex survival challenges. The forested canyons of Jenna hide nocturnal predators whose movements are silent and unpredictable. Deck's navigation of these areas emphasizes the need for constant vigilance, sound interpretation, and adaptive response. These sequences highlight suspense while reinforcing intelligence and perception as central survival tools. Secondary predator behavior is frequently dictated by environmental pressures. Packs, territorial disputes, and competition for prey create dynamic challenges. Deck uses these interactions to manipulate outcomes, showcasing strategic thinking and careful observation as essential for navigating a hostile ecosystem. The apex predator's hunting techniques often exploit human and Yautja psychological patterns. It sets traps, lures prey into false security, and adapts in real time. Dek's confrontation demonstrates that survival depends not only on physical skill but also on anticipating and countering complex cognitive strategies. Jenna's ecosystem includes subterranean tunnels, toxic swamps, and predator nesting areas. Each microhabitat requires specific strategies for navigation, combat, and ethical consideration. Dek's successful traversal of these biomes reinforces the narrative theme that survival is a multidimensional challenge requiring intelligence, observation, and moral judgment. Weapon utilization in Badlands is strategically integrated with environmental features. Plasma casters trigger environmental hazards, wrist blades exploit structural weaknesses, and the combi stick doubles as a climbing and combat tool. Dek's mastery of weapon environment synergy exemplifies the predator ethos of intelligence-enhanced hunting. Predator social dynamics extend beyond combat. Alliances, honor codes, and interclan rivalries influence decision-making and moral judgments. Dek's journey challenges traditional norms, demonstrating that ethical and strategic innovation can coexist with cultural expectations of honor and respect. Environmental storytelling uses visual cues to guide tactical decisions. Flickering bioluminescent flora, predator footprints, and subtle sound variations signal hazards or opportunities. Dek's attention to these cues exemplifies the narrative's emphasis on observational intelligence as a survival mechanism. Combat scenarios highlight multi-layered strategy. Dek integrates traps, terrain, predator behavior, and Thaia's predictive guidance to gain advantage. This approach demonstrates that intelligence, planning, and moral consideration are as crucial as strength in determining outcomes. The apex predator's defeat signals not just physical victory but moral and strategic mastery. Dek balances aggression with observation, ethics, and foresight, redefining Yautja honor and demonstrating that survival excellence encompasses intelligence, morality, and adaptability. Jenna's hidden lore provides opportunities for future exploration. Ancient predator remains, historical hunting grounds, and evidence of prior experiments enrich the world building and suggest narrative directions for sequels, prequels, or spin-offs focusing on Yautja evolution and interstellar hunting practices. Potential sequels could explore unexplored regions of Jenna, other alien planets, and additional Yautja clans. The evolving relationship between Dek and Thaya allows for stories combining tactical combat, ethical dilemmas, cross-species cooperation, and expanded ecological exploration. The film's thematic depth, combining survival intelligence, moral decision-making, and ecological strategy, distinguishes Predator: Badlands from prior franchise entries. It positions the movie as both a thrilling action experience and a cerebral exploration of interspecies dynamics, ethics, and strategy. By blending combat, environmental strategy, character development, and ethical growth, Predator: Badlands provides a rich, immersive experience that appeals to both longtime franchise fans and new audiences. Its detailed ecosystems, layered conflicts, and potential for expansion ensure a lasting impact and a robust foundation for future storytelling. In the final stages of their journey, Dek and Thaya confront the lingering ecological and social challenges of Jenna. They navigate regions where predator hierarchies remain unsettled and environmental systems are still adjusting to prior conflicts. These sequences emphasize that mastery is not a static achievement but an ongoing process that requires constant observation, adaptation, and ethical judgment. Dek employs both learned strategy and instinctual prowess to navigate these challenges, while Thaya provides analytical insight and moral evaluation, ensuring their actions are both effective and responsible. Dialogue between Dek and Thaya in these sequences crystallizes the film's philosophical underpinnings. Thaya reflects on the responsibilities inherent in power and survival, questioning the morality of dominance and the ethical treatment of other species. Dek integrates these reflections into his approach, demonstrating the synthesis of Yautja instinct with moral and strategic reasoning. Their discussions provide a framework for understanding the narrative's core message: true mastery combines physical capability, intelligence, ethical judgment, and cooperative engagement. The duo encounters minor predator factions whose behavior highlights both the complexity of Yautja society and the intricacies of Jenna's ecosystems. Some factions operate with aggressive, opportunistic strategies, while others demonstrate cooperative or territorial behaviors. Dek and Thaya navigate these interactions carefully, using observation, strategy, and moral evaluation to determine when to intervene or withdraw. These encounters reinforce the narrative's themes that leadership, honor, and survival are intertwined with intelligence, ethical conduct, and environmental awareness. Throughout these sequences, Dek reflects on the cumulative lessons of his journey. He recognizes that survival alone does not constitute mastery or honor, rather, true respect is earned through a combination of strategic insight, ethical decision-making, and ecological understanding. Thaya's reflections mirror this realization, as she evaluates her emergent agency, moral responsibility, and the long-term consequences of her decisions. Together, they articulate a vision of mastery that balances instinct, intelligence, morality, and cooperation. Environmental challenges continue to serve as both literal and metaphorical tests. Dek and Thaya navigate treacherous terrain, from shifting cliff faces to predator-infested swamps, demonstrating the integration of physical skill, strategic planning, and ethical reasoning. Each successful maneuver reinforces their growth, showing that mastery requires continual adaptation to dynamic conditions. These sequences also emphasize that ethical decision-making is inseparable from survival strategy, underscoring the narrative's central message that intelligence and morality amplify physical capability. Minor predator-prey encounters provide additional opportunities for reflection and ethical evaluation. Dek observes the adaptive strategies and cooperative behaviors of smaller species, learning lessons about patience, observation, and ethical intervention. Thaya contributes analytical assessments, helping guide decisions that balance efficiency with ethical responsibility. These sequences reinforce the idea that every action within an ecosystem carries consequences, highlighting the interconnectedness of life and the importance of ethical consideration in achieving true mastery. As their journey concludes, Dek and Thaya return to Central Yautja society for final ceremonial recognition. Dek is honored not only for his combat achievements but also for his strategic intelligence, moral reasoning, and demonstration of collaborative skill. Thaya's growth is similarly acknowledged, emphasizing the emergence of agency, ethical judgment, and conscious purpose. These ceremonies provide closure for both character arcs, reinforcing the franchise's emphasis on honor as a multidimensional concept encompassing skill, strategy, and morality. The film closes with reflective dialogue between Dek and Thaya, synthesizing the thematic threads of the story. They discuss the nature of honor, the responsibilities inherent in survival, and the interconnectedness of all life on Jenna. Dek reflects on how his experiences have reshaped his understanding of Yautja culture, integrating instinct, intelligence, and ethical reasoning. Thaya considers her own development, recognizing the potential for emergent consciousness and moral agency. These conversations provide a satisfying philosophical and emotional resolution, cementing the narrative's central messages. Finally, the concluding sequences visually underscore transformation, growth, and possibility. Jenna's previously hostile landscapes are depicted as navigable and harmonious, symbolizing the protagonist's mastery of both environment and self. Cinematography emphasizes balance, insight, and understanding, illustrating the integration of skill, strategy, and ethical judgment. Though the planet remains vast and largely unexplored, the narrative leaves space for future challenges and continued growth, emphasizing that mastery, honor, and ethical responsibility are ongoing, dynamic processes. The overarching message of Predator, Badlands emerges clearly in these final sequences. Survival and mastery are not solely defined by physical prowess, aggression, or dominance. True growth arises from the integration of instinct, intelligence, strategic reasoning, ethical judgment, and cooperative effort. Dek and Thaya's journey embodies this holistic approach, demonstrating that honor and respect are earned through understanding, adaptation, and thoughtful engagement with both social and ecological systems. The narrative closes on a note of reflection, achievement, and ongoing potential, leaving a lasting impression of a complex, immersive world where action, philosophy, and ethical growth intertwine. ChatGPT said, Deck's journey carries him into regions of Jenna that test the limits of both body and mind. Towering volcanic spires spew heat and ash, creating treacherous pathways that require balance, calculation, and timing. Shifting rock formations and sudden tremors introduce environmental hazards that force him to adapt instantly, while bioluminescent flora illuminate lurking predators in deceptive ways, challenging perception and instinct. Each obstacle is deliberately designed to push Deck's survival skills, strategic thinking, and moral judgment to their limits. The film emphasizes that mastery over Jenna requires more than raw strength. It demands observation, adaptability, foresight, and adherence to the predator code even under extreme pressure. The relationship between Deck and Thaya deepens as the stakes escalate. Thaya's intelligence, technical expertise, and tactical foresight complement Deck's physical prowess and instinctual decision-making, creating a partnership that is both practical and emotionally resonant. Deck's increasing respect for Thaya's judgment and individuality marks a pivotal point in his personal growth, demonstrating that cooperation, trust, and empathy are essential, even for the most formidable hunter. Their interactions emphasize that survival is not only a test of skill but also a reflection of character, ethical decision-making, and mutual reliance, reinforcing the film's central themes of interdependence and moral development. Encounters with Jenna's alien fauna intensify, demanding higher levels of strategy and adaptability. Some predators employ sophisticated camouflage and mimicry, making them nearly invisible until it is too late, while others demonstrate cooperative hunting strategies or manipulate their environment to ambush prey. Each confrontation challenges Deck to anticipate behavior, exploit environmental features, and integrate ethical judgment into tactical decisions. These sequences also provide deeper insight into Jenna's ecosystem, illustrating the complex interdependence of predator, prey, and environment, and highlighting the continuous learning process required for Deck's evolution as a hunter. Tessa's antagonistic presence escalates, providing both a physical and ethical counterpoint. Her reliance on aggression, cunning, and self-interest contrasts sharply with Deck's developing moral code and strategic intelligence. Confrontations with Tessa are multidimensional, incorporating direct combat, psychological tactics, and environmental manipulation. Through these interactions, the narrative explores the diversity of ethical approaches within predator society, demonstrating that honor, respect, and mastery are achieved through intelligence, foresight, and moral adherence, rather than brute force alone. Jenna itself remains an active narrative element, presenting hazards and opportunities that demand constant adaptation. Bioluminescent forests, jagged cliffs, and cavernous tunnels provide both visual spectacle and strategic complexity. Environmental dangers such as collapsing terrain, volcanic fissures, and predator-filled caverns test Deck's observational skills and problem-solving abilities. This integration of the planet's hazards into the story reinforces the interdependence of predator, prey, and ecosystem, emphasizing the central themes of adaptability, strategic thinking, and respect for the natural order. Cinematography continues to emphasize scale, danger, and intimacy. Wide shots capture Jenna's grandeur and the vulnerability of the protagonists, while close-ups during combat highlight tactical precision, decision-making, and subtle emotional cues. Lighting and color palettes shift dynamically to support narrative and emotional beats, with muted tones for stealth and suspense, and warmer hues for triumph, discovery, or reflection. This visual approach immerses the audience in the alien world while maintaining a strong connection to the personal stakes and character development of Deck. Sound design and music enhance narrative tension and immersion. Alien creatures produce unique auditory cues signaling intent, threat, and behavior, while predator technology emits mechanical sounds indicating readiness and function. The score blends orchestral and electronic elements to heighten suspense, action, and introspection. These auditory layers reinforce both the dangers of Jenna and the intellectual and moral growth of Deck, creating a fully immersive sensory experience. Deck's evolution is evident across all dimensions, physical, tactical, and ethical. Each encounter, environmental hazard, and conflict with Tessa reinforces his growth in skill, judgment, and adherence to the predator code. The narrative emphasizes that true mastery and respect within predator society emerge from a balance of intelligence, ethical conduct, foresight, and physical capability. Deck's transformation from an outcast to a respected, principled hunter exemplifies the multidimensional nature of predator growth and societal integration. The climactic confrontation with the apex predator serves as the culmination of Deck's development. He must navigate complex terrain, anticipate adaptive strategies, and employ predator technology effectively, all while maintaining adherence to his ethical code. The sequence emphasizes strategy, foresight, and moral judgment over sheer strength, reinforcing the story's central theme that intelligence, honor, and adaptability define true mastery. This apex battle provides both narrative closure and visual spectacle, delivering the ultimate test of Deck's skills and character. In the conclusion, Deck emerges as a fully realized predator, recognized for his intelligence, skill, and adherence to ethical principles. His partnership with Thaya embodies trust, cooperation, and shared purpose, while Tessa's contrasting path highlights alternative approaches to survival and morality. The story closes by reflecting on moral development, environmental mastery, and the interdependent nature of life on Jenna, leaving audiences with a comprehensive understanding of predator culture, the alien world's complexity, and the trials that forge hunters into respected leaders. The dense forests of Jenna conceal a wide array of secondary predators that vary in size, hunting style, and intelligence. Some move in coordinated packs, demonstrating social hunting strategies, while others rely on camouflage and ambush tactics. Deck learns to read these behaviors, using environmental cues to predict attacks and manipulate predator interactions to his advantage. Bioluminescent plants in Jenna serve multiple purposes. They act as natural light sources, attract prey, and hide predators. Deck navigates these regions cautiously, using shadows, terrain, and Thaya's predictive analysis to remain undetected. These areas reinforce the narrative's emphasis on observation, strategic thinking, and ecological awareness. Waterways and marshes are populated with both predatory and defensive species. Aquatic predators hunt stealthily from below, while semi-terrestrial herbivores establish territories along riverbanks. Deck must anticipate ambushes, set traps, and leverage terrain, demonstrating how understanding ecosystem dynamics is central to survival. The apex predator's hunting strategies include psychological manipulation. It mimics sounds, sets decoys, and uses terrain to create fear and confusion. Deck's ability to anticipate these tactics highlights the film's focus on intelligence, ethical reasoning, and adaptive problem-solving as essential traits for survival. Ancient Yautja carvings indicate historical hunting expeditions, previous apex predator encounters, and ritual sites. These artifacts provide Deck with crucial information, subtly guiding his strategies while enriching the franchise's lore. Observing these relics allows him to anticipate predator behavior and environmental hazards. Thaya's AI capabilities evolve over the course of the narrative. Initially a support tool, she begins offering ethical guidance, creative solutions, and strategic foresight, demonstrating that intelligence can develop through interaction and experience. Her evolution mirrors Deck's, reinforcing themes of growth and adaptation. Cliffside encounters with ambush predators illustrate the necessity of spatial awareness and timing. These predators exploit height, movement, and surprise, requiring Deck to adapt continuously. By analyzing patterns and using environmental advantages, he converts potential threats into opportunities, emphasizing the value of intelligence over brute force. Razorback territorial disputes influence predator behavior and prey movement. Deck observes these dynamics to plan routes, avoid ambushes, and leverage predator aggression against other threats. The interplay of species highlights the narrative's focus on ecological intelligence as a survival tool. Combat sequences consistently integrate environment, weaponry, and predator behavior. Deck uses plasma casters to trigger environmental traps, wrist blades to exploit terrain, and the combi stick for both mobility and combat. These sequences demonstrate the predator ethos of strategic integration rather than raw aggression. Jenna's subterranean tunnels and caves introduce new challenges. These areas are populated with highly specialized predators adapted to low light and confined spaces. Deck must combine stealth, observation, and Thaia's predictive analysis to navigate these hazards successfully, emphasizing the importance of intelligence in survival. The apex predator's adaptive camouflage and heightened reflexes create high-stakes confrontations. Dek's victory relies on anticipating patterns, using terrain strategically, and making ethical decisions that balance risk and reward. The encounter encapsulates the film's emphasis on intellect, morality, and adaptability as keys to success. Sequel potential expands with unexplored Jenna regions, new alien biomes, and interstellar hunting challenges. Dek and Thaia's evolving partnership provides a narrative framework to explore ethical dilemmas, strategic combat, and interspecies cooperation across future installments. Predator societal norms, including honor codes, hunting rituals, and clan rivalries, continue to influence the story. Dek's journey illustrates that innovation and intelligence can redefine cultural expectations without entirely discarding tradition. His ethical approach challenges preconceived notions of Yautja honor, offering a fresh narrative perspective. Environmental storytelling uses flora, terrain, and subtle visual cues to guide both Dek and the audience. Movement patterns of prey and predators, changing weather, and light variations indicate danger, reinforce suspense, and provide strategic insights that are crucial for survival. The film emphasizes that intelligence is as vital as strength. Dek's use of environmental knowledge, weapon integration, and predictive analysis allows him to overcome threats far larger or seemingly more powerful. This approach distinguishes Badlands from previous Predator entries, focusing on cerebral survival. Thaia's evolution as a character demonstrates that growth can occur through interaction, ethical reasoning, and adaptive intelligence. She transforms from a tool into a fully engaged partner, reflecting the narrative's theme that cooperation enhances survival and effectiveness. The razorback, shadow stalker, and other secondary species are integral to ecosystem dynamics. Their interactions, territorial disputes, and responses to environmental pressures influence predator behavior, demonstrating the interconnectedness of Jenna's fauna and the importance of ecological literacy in survival. Dek's final confrontation with the apex predator integrates all elements of his growth: combat skill, environmental mastery, ethical decision-making, and collaborative problem-solving with Thaia. This battle serves as a narrative climax, reinforcing the core themes of intelligence, morality, and adaptability. Potential sequels can explore untapped regions of Jenna, additional alien worlds, and further Yautja clans. The foundation established by Dek and Thaia allows for narratives that blend survival strategy, moral complexity, and interspecies cooperation, expanding the Predator universe in innovative ways. Predator, Badlands solidifies its position as a transformative franchise entry. By combining action, ecological strategy, character development, and moral depth, it appeals to both longtime fans and newcomers, providing a rich, immersive experience and a robust foundation for future storytelling. In the aftermath of their climactic experiences, Dek and Thaia explore the subtler, quieter corners of Jenna, where minor predator species demonstrate complex survival strategies. These sequences allow the characters to apply all their accumulated knowledge, observing, predicting, and ethically interacting with these smaller predators. Dek uses instinct and tactical reasoning to navigate these encounters, while Thaia offers analytical perspectives, calculating risks and ethical implications. These interactions reinforce the narrative's central message: true mastery integrates instinct, intelligence, and moral awareness. Dialogue continues to be a crucial tool for character development and thematic exploration. Thaia often questions the broader consequences of their actions, encouraging Dek to consider the ethical ramifications of hunting, territorial disputes, and environmental disruption. Dek reflects on these insights, demonstrating his evolving moral framework and strategic thinking. Through these exchanges, the audience witnesses the synthesis of Yautja instincts with ethical reasoning, illustrating that survival and honor are intertwined with intelligence, foresight, and morality. The narrative introduces minor subplots involving rival predator exiles who attempt to manipulate or challenge Dek and Thaia. These encounters are less about physical combat and more about negotiation, observation, and strategic decision-making. Dek applies the lessons learned from prior confrontations, balancing aggression with diplomacy and ethical reasoning. Thaya provides analytical guidance, ensuring that each decision considers long-term consequences for both themselves and Jenna's ecosystems. These subplots enrich the story, emphasizing the multidimensional nature of honor and the importance of ethical conduct in Yautja society. Environmental hazards remain central to these sequences. Dek and Thaya navigate unstable terrain, including shifting cliffs, dense forests, and semi-sentient vegetation that reacts dynamically to movement. Success requires careful observation, strategic planning, and ethical judgment, reinforcing the film's recurring motif that true mastery encompasses more than combat prowess. Each challenge illustrates the necessity of integrating environmental awareness, strategic thinking, and ethical decision-making to survive and thrive in the complex world of Jenna. Small-scale predator-prey dynamics continue to provide opportunities for moral and strategic reflection. Dek observes adaptive hunting strategies, cooperative behaviors, and interspecies competition, learning lessons about patience, foresight, and ethical intervention. Thaya contributes predictive analyses, ensuring that their actions maximize survival while minimizing unnecessary harm. These sequences underscore the film's ecological consciousness and the interconnectedness of life, emphasizing that ethical awareness is inseparable from effective mastery. The narrative also revisits historical predator artifacts and ceremonial spaces. Dek studies these remnants to understand the evolution of Yautja social structures, ethical codes, and honor systems. These discoveries allow him to contextualize his personal growth within the broader framework of his species' culture. Thaya draws parallels between these ethical frameworks and her own emergent consciousness, deepening the philosophical dimension of the story. The integration of historical knowledge, cultural understanding, and ethical reasoning reinforces the film's central themes. Reflective dialogue sequences highlight the long-term consequences of survival decisions. Dek contemplates how his actions affect the stability of Jenna's ecosystems and the honor of Yautja society. Thaya evaluates the development of her agency and moral reasoning, considering the broader implications of intelligence and ethical judgment. These discussions provide thematic closure for both characters, synthesizing the lessons of instinct, strategy, morality, and collaboration into a cohesive philosophical framework. As the story nears its conclusion, the duo returns to Yautja society for final recognition. Dek's achievements are celebrated not only for his combat prowess but also for his strategic intelligence, ethical conduct, and demonstration of cooperation. Thaya's emergence as a conscious, ethical agent is acknowledged, highlighting the integration of intelligence, morality, and agency. These ceremonial sequences provide closure, reinforcing the franchise's thematic emphasis on multidimensional honor and the ongoing nature of personal growth and ethical responsibility. The final sequences visually underscore the integration of knowledge, skill, and ethical reasoning. Jenna's landscapes, previously hostile and unpredictable, are now depicted as navigable and balanced, symbolizing the protagonist's mastery of both environment and self. Cinematography, lighting, and color palettes reflect thematic transformation, emphasizing that true mastery arises from understanding, adaptation, and ethical engagement with the world. The open-ended depiction of Jenna also hints at future challenges, reinforcing the narrative's focus on continuous growth and evolution. Ultimately, the journey of Dek and Thaya serves as a meditation on survival, honor, and ethical mastery. Their combined experiences, through predator encounters, environmental hazards, ethical dilemmas, and cultural reflections, illustrate that true growth is iterative, complex, and multidimensional. The narrative emphasizes that intelligence, morality, strategy, and cooperation are inseparable from physical skill in achieving mastery, leaving the audience with a comprehensive, philosophically rich understanding of the Yautja species and the alien world of Jenna.